The Forge finally released to overwhelmingly positive feedback from the community, with currently over 17,000 players actively playing the game, and the game having a 98% positive like to dislike ratio, which is pretty insane in terms of Roblox games. And to be honest, today's video was supposed to be a normal one, but this changed as soon as I joined the game and was presented with this very beautiful screen right here. And I happened to look to the right side, I knew I was instantly cooked. Because, well, I knew I had to spend some Robux to unlock both the Demon and the Angel race. So you don't have to. Well, I was quite lucky getting the Angel race relatively quickly after just a few rerolls, to be honest. But now I had to also acquire the second one, which is the Demon race, and yeah, as you can see, this took a very long time. I think in total this took like 30 or 40 minutes of just straight up rerolling, which as you can imagine is not really a great financial decision. I mean, what a surprise, spending 10,000 Robux day one on a game just to get some wings, yeah, doesn't seem crazy at all. So please don't do this, by the way. Instead, feel free to leave a like and consider subscribing, that would be very much appreciated. Anyways, let's move on. Well, and after what felt like forever, we finally managed to get the Demon race, and honestly, I'm not too sure if I'm really happy with this now. Jesus Christ. Since I've spent so much Robux now, I at least wanted to use this knowledge I've gathered and talk about all of the different races in the Forge, as well as their benefits. So without any further delays, let's talk about all of the races, what their benefits are, and which ones may be the best, I don't know. Okay, so for the races we have the Human race with a 25% chance, Elf and Zombie with 14% respectively, Goblin with 10.5%, Undead with 9%, Orc with 8%, Dwarf with 7% and Shadow with 6%. Moving on to the gold tier of races, we have the Minotaur with 1.75%, Dragonborn with 1.5%, the Golem with 1.25%, as well as the last rarity, which are the most rare ones, Angel and Demon, with respectively 0.5%, which is pretty insane by the way. So let's start with the Human race, the most basic one. This one gives you 3% luck and 3% extra experience points. This is the only perk it has, so let's move on to the next one. For the Elf race, we have 15% stamina increase and plus 5% height, as well as the glorious 7% luck boost, which are the only two benefits for the Elf race. Moving on to the Zombie now. The Zombie has minus 25% health, which is the Rotten perk, but instead it receives the Mutated Regen, which gives you plus 2% health regeneration every 5 seconds, as well as the Absorb perk, which has a 15% chance to convert incoming damage to health, which definitely sounds very beneficial for fighting. The Goblin may not seem that great at first, as it has a minus 15% health and minus 15% size perk, however it gets a nice plus 15% movement speed as well as plus 10% attack speed with daggers, but the most important perk for this one is the Bargain perk, which gives you a 12% discount when shopping, which seems very useful in my opinion. Anyways, moving on to the Undead, we have Fragile Bones, which gives you minus 12% health, but instead you receive the Sharp Surface perk, which reflects 10% of the damage taken, as well as a second chance which refills 50% of health when the health is under 10% every 5 minutes. So far I feel like all of them have their benefits as well as their downsides, so it doesn't seem like some of these are outright terrible in my opinion. Moving on to the Orc race, which only has 2 benefits. This one gives you minus 10% stamina as well as a 10% movement speed penalty. However, this one receives plus 10% physical damage, plus 15% health, as well as plus 10% size, which I don't fully understand yet what size exactly brings to the table. If you know more about this, feel free to leave a comment down below. So the Orc kind of seems like a tank build in my opinion, but so far I would say it's probably one of my least favorite ones. Moving on to the Dwarf. The Dwarf actually is quite cool once again. It also has some downsides, minus 20% height as well as minus 5% movement speed, but this one specifically gives you plus 15% mining damage and plus 5% better forge, alongside with 20% chance to deal plus 50% damage to rocks, which is definitely very beneficial. Moving on to the Shadow race, which gives you plus 15% movement speed, plus 10% attack speed, plus 10% stamina, plus 5% physical damage, and minus 10% health. And this one also looks really cool in my opinion. You can see how this one looks in game by the way here. And its second perk is the Phantom Step, which upon taking damage, there's a 15% chance to turn into a shadow to dodge the attack, which once again is very beneficial. I've definitely got saved by this quite a few times. Moving on to the golden rarity already, we have the Minotaur, which brings you plus 20% health, minus 10% movement speed, minus 10% stamina, as well as plus 10% height and plus 20% width and depth, which I'm not really too sure how these are specifically beneficial here, but this one has only one other perk, which while under 50% health, this one activates a rage mode, increasing movement speed and physical damage by 30%, which is pretty insane to be honest, especially because this one is triggered under 50% health already. Definitely seems kind of like a brawler to me, the Minotaur. Moving on to the Dragonborn race, this one brings you plus 20% max HP, as well as plus 10% height, as well as plus 12% physical damage, alongside with the Dragon's Breath ability, which is definitely the most interesting perk of this character. It has a 40% chance to burn enemies and deal 30% of weapons damage per second for 3 seconds, which definitely seems quite powerful in my opinion. The Golem race is the last one for the golden rarity, which gives you plus 30% health, minus 10% movement speed, as well as plus 30% size. Heavy Hitter is another perk this one has, plus 15% attack speed with heavy weapons, as well as the Stoneheart perk, which has a 50% chance to lower incoming damage by 25%. So I would say if you enjoy heavy weapons, then this might be one of the characters you want to go for. And now we finally arrived at the most rare races in this game, which are the Angel as well as the Demon race. For the Demon race, we have the Demonic Powers perk, which gives you plus 20% movement speed alongside with plus 20% attack speed, plus 20% physical damage, plus 20% stronger fire damage, a 30% height boost, plus 10% width and depth. This one has the Backfire perk, which has a 25% chance to burn the enemy when damage is taken, alongside with the Cursed Aura, while in combat have a small area around you that deals 10% damage of your weapon per second, which is pretty insane to be honest, as well as the Devil's Finger, which allows you to basically teleport when dashing with Hellfire particles, and these have a 35% chance to create a Hellfire circle, which deals area of effect damage to the enemies inside, which deals 45% damage of your weapon per second for 3 seconds. So yeah, this one is a bit more convoluted with a lot of different perks. And last but not least, we have the Angel race, which has a minus 20% dash cooldown, alongside with a plus 50% dash distance, plus 15% longer dash iframes, plus 20% movement speed, plus 25% jump boost, plus 20% stamina. This one also has a plus 30% luck boost, which is pretty insane to be honest, and the Smite ability, which gives you a 50% chance to call upon a Smite on hit for 30% of physical damage, which is quite awesome to be honest in my opinion. And then we have the Holy Hand, have infinite stamina while below 20% health, which has definitely saved me a couple of times in difficult situations. Something really cool about this game is, which you may have noticed already, all of these races have different appearances, so these are not just some random statistics they have applied to each other, but all of these look very unique in their own way, and the main benefit with the rarest ones are both of these have wings, which look just absolutely incredible. Chef's kiss to whoever made these models, they're just really fantastic, and to put it simply, the wings are just very badass, like, no cap. And no, badass is not a bad word, Roblox is using it on their own catalog, so fight me about that one. Yeah, and this concludes the video already. I hope it was informative and somewhat helpful. Hopefully in the coming days there's going to be some more content for this game for me to showcase you. As I have to go back to work, I'm going to be a bit limited on time, but yeah, this was the video I at least wanted to release for now.